Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Brad Mahlof, who's a contestant on the second season of The Great American Recipe. So many questions. First of all, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure.
So, a food reality show. I mean, how awesome is that?
Incredible. And I'm not a food creator by profession. So to have this opportunity to come on a TV show, share my stories, share my food is so surreal. So it's been such a cool experience, and I'm really excited to now see these episodes come out every week and see how like this experience that I live now gets presented to America.
Well, I am a reformed non-cook. So I just started cooking like 6 years ago and now I'm like, food writer, podcaster. I always loved food, but being able to showcase cooking is just it's like, ugh. So how did that happen? Because your career is not well, maybe it is food now.
Yeah.
So
No, so
how
I'm
did
a real estate developer by profession, and during the pandemic in 2020, I decided, hey, I have a lot of free time. Let me create an Instagram account that's related to the cooking that I do. I always love hosting Shabbat dinners and bringing friends and family together for yummy, tasty food. So I started to document it on this Instagram account. And slowly by slowly, there was a little, people were following the account, and eventually a casting person from the show reached out to me, and it was just so off my radar to ever do something like this. But the opportunity came about, and I said, why not? If this is what the universe is saying, let's go for it.
I love that. And it really shows that when you're following your passion, you never know who's watching.
100%. Especially like I think when you try too hard, it really shows. And this was such just a passion project, you know, cooking Jewish food, representing Libyan food, just doing my thing. And I think people gravitated towards that because it just felt really organic.
So where did this love of food come from?
I mean, firstly, I love to eat. I think that's inherent in Jewish culture, and also being in New York, we're just like the food capital of the country. So I just love trying different restaurants, but also going to different people's houses. Growing up, my parents said that all like my mom's friends loved me growing up because I'd go to all their houses and just eat everything. I wasn't picky at all, and so I definitely always had a love for food. And then little by little, watching my mom in the kitchen while it's watching my aunts in the kitchen, I started picking up the skill set to actually cook for myself, and then slowly evolved. When I was in college, I started cooking big Shabbat dinners for my friends, and then when I moved to the city after college, I would do a weekly Shabbat dinner and have, 10, 15, 20 people over every week and host these big dinner parties. And it kind of evolved from there.
You make cooking sound so easy. And I know there and I believe that you can make cooking as difficult as you want or as easy as you want. So, what do you how do you do these big dinners without, overwhelming yourself?
Well, firstly, I definitely overwhelm myself. I put a lot on my plate, but I think I thrive on that pressure. But also, I've had my mom as such a good role model. She's always worked a full-time job, and regardless of that, she's always somehow managed to have these amazing Shabbat dinners every single week, where they were like it's like Christmas dinner every single week, multi-course meals with 10 different entrees. So seeing my mom be able to do that so seamlessly and so easily inspired me to say, hey, if she could do it, I could do it too. And it's a time commitment though. I definitely spend a lot of time going to grocery stores, getting all the ingredients, spending time cooking, setting the table. It's almost a mini full-time job.
That was my next question. Are you still doing your other, like, full-time job?
I am.
Oh,
For
you are?
now. Oh, for sure. Oh, 100%. So until I could figure out a way for food to pay the bills, I'm still a real estate developer.
That's so funny. But it's the balance because you love both. I mean, I'm guessing you love your day job as well.
Totally. My day job's great, but I think that I love food, and I think it's a special journey to be able to really follow a passion, even if it's not a passion that's very lucrative. But I think they say that if you follow what you love, the money follows, or some expression like that. So we'll see what happens.
So tell me a little bit more about the show because the format's a little bit different this year, right?
Yeah.
Usually you see food shows and it's like bye-bye every week, but they're not doing that. So explain.
Correct. So the first season of the show was an elimination every single week. The bottom person was, kicked off the show. And I think that the producers changed the formatting a little bit this year because they thought that everyone has their beautiful story to tell, and they want everyone to have the full course of the season to tell their story and not be cut short. But it's still a competition. So what they did is they accumulate everyone's scores for each episode, and then the top three people with the highest scores will make it to the finale, and then ultimately one winner at the end of the finale.
So you keep talking about your story. So what is your story? Why are you so excited to have this platform to share it through food?
Sure. I think so. My dad's side of the family is from Libya. We're Libyan Jews, and I think my dad from Libya, his family moved to Israel, and so we saw our family once a year. And there's a little bit of a language barrier. So I think growing up, there was always a bonding experience with food. So I think, and I have early memories of my grandmother preparing delicious meals. My dad's one of 16 children, so she would prepare massive, massive meals for her kids and for her grandkids and cousins and for whoever. So food was definitely this really special bonding experience with my extended family. And then realizing as I've gotten older, that Libyan culture is so unknown and there's no Jews left in Libya. And really all that we have left to kind of pass down is our food. So I really kind of took it upon myself to make it a passion project to record and cook these recipes and hopefully memorialize them so that they get passed down to the next generation and beyond.
That's it's like it's beyond sweet. I mean, I feel like I'm sounding like such a girl. It's like awe. Seriously, but isn't that the way that we share history in like the most palatable way is through food and culture?
Absolutely. So I think that food is just such an easy way to experience culture. Even when you travel, the first thing you think about is what restaurants I'm going to go to when you go wherever. So I think food is that like automatic connector. You could open up a history book and read all the facts, but it's something that it's immersive. You really feel the experience. So I think there's something special about that.
And it's way more fun to eat the facts. Eat
Exactly.
history. Eat your way through history, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, do you have a signature dish that you think really brings your culture to the plate? I
Sure.
watch a lot of food TV, so I feel like I'm using their language. So,
Yeah, I would
how
say
do you
like
put yourself on a plate?
put myself on a plate. I think being from North African descent, couscous is the staple. So everything revolves around the couscous. So couscous, you have the box kind, which is 5 minute instant couscous. It's not great. And that's what people are accustomed to. It's just very mediocre. But if you take the time and spend 3 hours hand rolling couscous, it'll change your life. It's just so fluffy. It absorbs whatever sauce that you pair it with, and that's my passion, the couscous, and then everything else just falls into place by its side.
So, how do you make couscous? I'm just
Yeah, so
enthralled.
so couscous, it's semolina, so it's a semolina grain. It's a coarse semolina, and you slowly incorporate water to it, and then you basically you hand roll it. You put it through like a sifter, and then you steam it, and then you'll take it out. You'll add a little more water, do the same thing, and then it's kind of just a multi-step where you're incorporating water slowly and then steaming it.
I see how Shabbat dinners can become overwhelming for you if you're
Yeah,
spending,
exactly.
3 hours on couscous and then everything
I don't
else.
do that every week just because that is a huge labor. But during special occasions or if I'm really trying to impress people, that's my go-to.
Okay. And so you put everything with the couscous, but can you give me a for example or 2?
Sure. So there's a stew that we've eaten since I was 6 months old. It's the first thing I ate as a kid. It's called tebecha, and it's basically a short rib stew. And it's a little spicy. It's a red sauce. There's cumin. There's cardamom, cloves, paprika. So it has a really nice spice mixture, and you pair it with potatoes and beans. It's really tasty.
Oh, sounds delicious. I know better. This show always makes me hungry, and I am always really cognizant about eating before I do these recordings, and I still get hungry.
Still get hungry. It's funny.
So, your mission accomplished. So, what is it like being on a reality food show?
Nothing that I expected, I could say that. So, I didn't really come in with many expectations because it's just so off my radar of my, whatever my life is, it's not that. But, um, long, long days filming, you're like, "Oh, it's an hour cook. How long could that take?" It takes a long time. So, everything is so like the cook itself is one shot, but everything else is so stop and go. The judging takes hours because, they have to reset cameras. So it's definitely, first of all, you have to like present really tasty food, but it's also a stamina game. If 8 episodes, you're there for however many weeks, and you're just so tired, and you're on set from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you're running on fumes. So it's definitely a very taxing experience, but it was really special, and I would do it again.
That was my next question. It sounds totally worth it, right?
Yeah. I think the best part was actually meeting the other contestants. We immediately bonded with one another, and again, I think that's one of the things about food is that it actually brings people together. And while we all wanted to win, there was definitely a camaraderie amongst us. And yeah, like even now we text every single day, and we're just all excited to see each other kind of succeed and thrive and follow this passion and see where it goes.
So it's really taking the whole food cooking bonding to another level. So you're all sharing what you love about food and your history together, and it's like a community within the food
For
community.
sure. I mean, like I can go to the grocery store and get excited about some random piece of lettuce that I saw there. And like these are the friends now that I could text about it, because if I texted my normal friends, I'd be like, we don't care. So I definitely have this niche group of friends now that care about these little kind of quirky Brad behaviors of spending 6 hours at a grocery store, going aisle by aisle, looking at whatever. So
Well, just so you know, you could text me and I will get excited about your lettuce choices
listen,
like
I'm gonna
any
I'm
day
gonna
of the
take you I'm
week.
gonna take you up on that. So
So, what is a nice, easy adjacent recipe that you could share so people can get a taste of what it is that you love so much about your style of cooking?
sure. So I think what I made on the first episode, it's Chraime, which is a Libyan fish stew, and you could really use any kind of fish. I like to use salmon, but um, traditionally it's done with a white fish, and it's easy to make, so it's perfect for a weeknight dinner. But it has a lot of the flavor profiles of Libyan cuisine, so you can get a taste for it, and it's super delicious. Once you make it once, you'll be hooked. And yeah, like flavor wise, tomato paste, use a whole head of garlic, so it's very garlicky. Lemon, so it has lemon, garlic, and then spicy. So you put paprika, you put a little cayenne, and then there's cumin and caraway. So it has a really beautiful flavor profile.
And do you just like throw everything together? Boom, it's beautiful or what?
Yeah. So first I'll add a lot of oil. I'm definitely heavy-handed with my oil, and then I'll add the head of garlic crushed. Let that kind of nicely saute, get some nice some flavor in the oil. Then I'll add the tomato paste and my spices, and then once everything comes together, then I'll add the water and create the sauce. And then generally, what I do is if I do a skin-on piece of fish, I'll sear the fish in a separate pan just to get the skin crispy, and then I'll put that in the pan to finish cooking with the
Ooh.
sauce.
Oh, that so you get the flavors, the best of both worlds, the way you starting the fish by
Yes,
searing
exactly.
and then
But you just have to make sure, like, make sure to put the skin on top. You don't want the skin to be in the sauce, otherwise it just gets mushy again. So saute the skin in a separate pan so it's crispy, and then put the non-skin side into the sauce and let it finish cooking so it gets really soft and tender, and then the top is nice and crispy.
and you serve this with your couscous?
You can. I generally do. But you could also serve it with bread, with really any vessel that's gonna just suck up all the sauce.
Amazing, and I know that they loved your first 2 dishes on the first episode. We don't wanna spoil too much of it, we shouldn't use the word spoil when we're talking about food, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Well, so I
but
won. I won both challenges on the first episode, and then the second episode, which aired a couple of days ago, I won the first challenge, and then the second one I didn't win, but I'm definitely on a streak. So I'm doing pretty well so far.
Mm. It looks like you like to cook fish a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it might just be because I'm generally pretty health conscious. Also, I grew up, on the ocean, on the Jersey Shore. So I think we grew up in a coastal community, so where fish was pretty popular. But and also on the show, we only had an hour to cook, so fish is something that could be cooked pretty quickly. So I think strategically, it also made sense to cook with fish. If that makes sense.
Mhm. So what has surprised you the most about being on the show in this environment?
Hmm. The most surprising thing is kind of seeing how well me and also these other contestants are able to push their limits. I think coming on the show, I thought I actually like on the first episode before we even started cooking, I thought I was an imposter and I felt so underqualified. But I was actually surprised that when presented with this challenge that I was able to kind of do well. So
Well, I think first of all, it's amazing. And the other thing that shows, what we were talking about at the beginning is anything's possible. You started this passion project, and who knew that they'd say, "Hey, come be on our cooking show." So really,
I literally thought it was a joke. That I got a DM on Instagram saying, "We think you'd be such a good fit for this show." And I'm like, "This is a scam, so let's just ignore it." And they kept messaging me until I finally responded. And I even took the first call, and even after taking the call, I'm like, "Okay, it's not a scam, but this is something I'm never gonna do, but I'll go through the motions and kinda see what how it plays out." And then they say, "We want you on the show." And at that point, I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna do it. If that's what the universe is saying, let's just go for it. And yeah,
is there something you know now that you wish you knew at the beginning of of being on the show?
in terms of what,
Mm,
just
anything,
um,
cooking, survival of the food fittest. I don't know.
yes and no. I'm actually glad I came in with so little, like so low expectations because I think if I came in super well prepared or super like in my head, I would have not done the things that I came in and did. Um, because I think my strategy was I'm here to represent my culture. Everything else will fall into place. So I didn't worry too much about picking out recipes that are going to win. I was just like, hey, I'm here to be here to represent my story, and everything else is secondary.
Well, I'm feeling like that authenticity is serving you really, really well.
Well,
So,
I started off on the top. It's only down. I could only go downhill from here. But
or you
no, I'm
could
just
stay
kidding.
up
But
there.
listen, you can. Everyone will have to watch and see what happens.
And so, same question, different twist. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you started cooking?
Oof, so much. Cooking's a journey, and it's a constant evolution. And no one starts off as an amazing cook. It's just practice. And so even if someone's just starting out, don't get discouraged. This is a little piece of advice. Don't get discouraged because you know even these recipes that now I do so like with my eyes closed. I remember when I was much younger, I'd call my mom every single week, "Mom, how do you do this? How do you do this?" And she had to walk me through everything, and it still didn't come out right. So it's definitely a journey. You continue to learn, and also I think that one thing with cooking is that your food is only as good as the ingredients that you use. So definitely spend the time, spend the money if you can to source the best ingredients possible, and that's going to yield the best food result.
And going into this with I mean, I could just see your love for your food, for your culture. It's just like it's like dripping off of you,
I
that
appreciate that.
passion, which is I think the other secret ingredient because you're cooking yourself. That didn't sound right. You know what I mean? But you're showcasing your family must be really, really proud.
Sure. First, my family's super thrilled and they're super proud. But actually, I think that's one thing. I think if you get too much in your head and outside of do what you do, like you look at Instagram and all these other people that create food, and I get like what's the word? I get insecure because I see so much beautiful food. I'm like I can never do that. But then I realize, hey, my food's actually delicious in its own right. I don't do what they do, but I do what I do really well. And I think there's something special. really special about home cooking that's different than restaurant food. I think, you know, you go to restaurants in New York and they're super tasty, but after a bunch of them, you're like, hey, all I want is a home cooked meal. There's something really special and fresh and beautiful about it. And maybe it's because it's cooked with love or something like that. But so you know, when I get in my head about stuff like that, I'm like, no, like remember what I'm doing is I'm doing it for a reason and stick to your roots.
I think that was just really well put. So, whether you're watching or you're listening, your homework is to cook something from the heart because only you know what you have to offer and put on that plate.
Exactly. And also when you're following a recipe, cook with your heart, but also cook with what you like. If there's something in a recipe you're like, hey, I don't care for that, just omit it. Feel free to experiment. And that's the beauty of cooking. It's not baking, it's not a science. It's really an art. It's a form of expression. And just have fun with it. And it might not come out well the first time, but who cares? You know, that's your family's your guinea pigs. So cook for them and they're all gonna eat it because they're gonna be hungry and if it's really bad, you'll order takeout, and the next week it'll be better.
There are no losers when it comes to cooking. I love
Exactly.
that. Such a great way to put it and such joy. So it's not just about the creativity, it really is about the joy and enthusiasm, which you've got tons to spare. Where can people learn more about you and your cooking journey?
Yes. So I have a food Instagram account, Cook with Brad. I also recently launched a blog, which is also cookwithbrad.com. And I'm actually doing a pop-up dinner in July, July 17th, on the Upper East Side in New York City. I'm taking over a restaurant for the evening, and I'm doing a little multi-course tasting menu representing my Libyan but also global culinary style. And so I'm super excited about it. Also very nervous because again, like don't feel like I'm qualified to cook in a commercial kitchen, but here I am doing it, and I'm excited to give it a try. And yeah, so that's where people can kind of check things out.
Well, I think at some point you're gonna have to just look at yourself on TV and say, "Hey, that guy, he knows things.
Yeah,
Wait, that's me."
maybe one day. I think that's a hard thing to kind of eventually come to terms with. But I think slowly but surely, I'm realizing, hey, I'm actually good at this, and maybe there is something to it, and I should continue to follow that passion and see where it continues to go.
Well, I look forward to seeing where your passion for food continues to go. Thank you so much, Brad, for taking the time to share your love of food and your experience on the great American recipe. And thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube and or your favorite podcast platform. And you can go to jewishjournal.com to get recipes like the delicious, maybe we'll even put the couscous in there as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I actually have a couscous hack to make it because no one has 3 hours, or especially for when you make like a chraime, which is a quick thing. So there's a microwave hack which I can give you to post, and it takes 10 minutes.
Ooh, okay. I like that even better. So, you definitely wanna go and get the recipes and read the articles that go with each episode, and you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Thank you again, Brad. This has been so much fun, and thank you all again for tuning in. Until next time, bon appetit.